Welcome to Mission Works, thanks to donors. I'm Dale Meyer. Concordia Seminary is on solid financial footing. That means, for example, that tuition is guaranteed for our students. But I've got some questions about that. Today we have with us, again, Mr. Chad Couture, Chief Financial Officer for Concordia Seminary. Welcome back, Chad. You are now the star of a Mission Works mini-series.
Thanks, Dale.
What can I say? You're a hit. I'm on my way out. Okay, so Concordia Seminary is in good financial status, which hasn't always been the case, but we're in good shape now. Why give? You guys got lots of money.
I think it's important to recognize that funding the mission is really a collaboration among a variety of donors within the church. And I use the word donors loosely because it really does encompass individuals, the districts and congregations, service organizations within the church, for example, the LCMS Foundation, faculty, staff, students even give to the institution, and the Board of Regents. But if you upset, just one of those pieces, it has the potential to impact, our entire funding model.
If you look at the history of funding for Concordia Seminary, the pie has changed. I mean, it's always 100% pie, but the pieces have changed. Could you talk about that a little bit? Go back decades.
Decades. The gift income number, it's a significant number now. I mean, it's over 50%. That was probably, well into maybe 75%. But what you're seeing now is that the gift income is going down as a result of an aging donor base. And we have worked very hard at building the seminary's endowment. And you can see on the pie chart, the investment in trust return number is roughly 26%. And our goal is to continue to increase that.
When I started as president, I think the endowment was around $40 million. And is it up or down since then?
It's a little bit up, Dale, to your credit. We're close to $200 million in our endowment. And that's, that was the big push for the Generations campaign and the Generations 2020 campaign. And our goal is to have that number at 30% by the year 2025.
And this is significant because if the donor base of the LCMS continues to be called to heaven, the gift income amount of the pie is going to shrink, and yet the mission has to go forward. So endowments are critical to filling what looks like it's going to be a funding gap.
Exactly. And that's what we're planning for. We're anticipating that, the estates and bequests that come into the institution, that those are eventually going to taper off, and that has to be supplemented somehow, some way.
One of the joys of my job, and I know President Egger has this experience now too, is writing letters to people who have established endowments. And I would handwrite a letter and said, you and I will long be in heaven, but the gospel will continue to go out because of your gift in this endowment. Let's look at the pie going backwards. Now, you've just taken us into the future. If the LCMS doesn't start growing, endowments are going to be critical. They're going to be critical anyway.
Yep.
But let's go back 30, 40 years. A big piece of that pie came from the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod budget, didn't it?
It did. And now, you go back 30, 40, 50 years, a large percentage of our income came from the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod to the tune, over 40%. And now you're probably around 1% that is coming from corporate synod.
Yeah, and we need to be very clear about this. When I entered seminary, it was 44% subsidy, okay? So when my parents, Art and Norma, went to church, they put in their white envelope into the plate. Some of that went on to district, some of it went on to St. Louis, to corporate synod, and that was the subsidy that came, okay? That was, many, many years ago. It's just changed, and there's no blame connected with this. It's happened in seminaries all across the ATS, denominations, the Association of Theological Schools, Denominations just don't support seminaries the way they used to. They can't, okay? They don't have it.
That's absolutely right.
I mean, the economics and the flow of money has changed. So here's my point. and you can elaborate on this, the donors of the LCMS, the people of the LCMS have stepped into the gap. And that's why the pie has changed.
Yes. I'll segue into our financial aid policy, for
Okay.
example, that we put in place years ago. That's heavily dependent on a variety of donors within the church. Districts and congregations are a part of that. Individuals through the adopted student program, that's huge. Earnings off of our endowment for priority endowments, student aid, that number continues to grow, but that is also a big part of our student financial aid model. So you take Adopt a Student, for example, and that's been a blessing for a number of students. On average, a student will receive roughly $7,000 annually to cover their tuition, and that's mainly coming from
Adopt a Student.
From Adopt a Student.
And then there's more funds that support tuition.
Yes, so you have funds from the districts and congregations. As I mentioned, the investment and trust return, earnings off of an endowment to cover the tuition, like the capstone grant that we give to students that funds that. So you upset, just one flow of those dollars coming into the institution, and that could impact the financial aid policy. So we need donors to continue to support the institution the way they have been.
So with about 90% of the pie coming from donations, we need the continued support of our faithful and generous donors. I want to make sure that I don't get in Dutch with the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. The corporate synod cannot give us a subsidy that it used to. We get that. No ill will intended there. But the people of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod have not let their seminaries down. Seminaries in the plural, this applies to Fort Wayne as well. They have supported us because they've got a heart for the mission of our Lord Jesus. Is there anything else as we wrap up this mini-series, Star Couture, that you'd like to say to our donors?
Thank you. Thank you. I feel absolutely blessed to be able to work at this institution. It's been a true blessing to work with you, Dale. I stepped foot on this campus in October of 1998 as an auditor working for the International Center at that time. And it's one of those things where once you come onto this campus, you feel this connection. And when I first stepped onto this campus, I just knew I wanted to work here. Mm-hmm. And I am so I'm so appreciative of the donors that continue to support this mission. And this is just an unbelievable place to work.
Thank you, Chad. I couldn't say it any better. Mission works thanks to donors, thanks to you.